Hello students, let's look into the measurement of economic development. Measurement of economic development, we can also call them as indicators or criteria of economic development. Economic development need to be measured appropriately to note the changes taking place in any economy within or compared with other economy. This would help to understand the direction of the economic development and their consequences on the society. This would also help to frame the policy in the right direction and to plan their future programs in the right direction. Economic development can be measured through various indicators. What is the need for the indicators or measures of development? The government of a country, in formulating its economic policies, which could be either monetary, fiscal, or commercial policies, all these policies greatly influence the course of development. And these need well worked out measures of the development that is in progress. This is very much more so in the case of planned economies. Today, almost all countries have adopted planning, but the kind of planning may differ from country to country. Both in formulating development plans and judging their results, it is necessary to have correct measures and indicators of development. These indicators should be able to show the direction and the pace of change of the economy, which are expected as a result of a given combination of policies and measures. For analyzing and examining the various problems of growth, it becomes necessary to measure the growth of a country at various periods of time and also to have a comparative picture of the economic growth of different countries and also of different regions within a country. The measures and indicators should be such so as to help in assessing correctly the nature and extent of real development that has been taking place in the country. Thus, the measurement of growth and development has been an important problem of development planning. The indicators and measures of development are essential for the following reasons. Mainly, to provide a base for the formulation of development programs, to find out the direction and phase of change of the economy, to obtain the result of a given set of programs adopted under planning, to analyze and examine the problems of growth in underdeveloped countries, and also to assess the growth of a country at different periods of time and to have a comparative picture of economic growth of different countries and different regions within the country. Now let's look into the various indicators. The first indicator that we are going to study is about the gross national product. Gross national product is one of the indicators to measure economic development. The most simple and popular method of measuring economic development is to calculate the trend of GNP at constant prices. Two reasons are given for choosing GNP as the best single indicators of growth or development. In the first place, the movements of most of the other variables are correlated with changes in total or per capita national real income. Thus, for instance, an increase in per capita real income suggests how the variables like population, productivity, and capital stock consumption levels have also moved. Secondly, the national real income is relatively easy to compute compared with the difficulties involved in calculating changes in capital stock, level of technology, etc. So it was always accepted that if a single index to judge the end results of the process of growth development is to be used, the gross national product is supposed to be one of the satisfactory measures of economic development. There is a positive correlation between the GNP, that is the real national income, and economic development. Higher the real national income, higher will be the rate of economic development. Thus, real national income is the measuring rod of economic development. It signifies that the purchasing power of national income should be taken into account. However, this criterion has got certain limitations. It does not reflect the correct picture of economic development because it fails to take note of the population growth. The population growth most times eats away the fruits of economic development. Thus, this method of GNP has got several difficulties. This method can be an indicator only if the increase in real national income is much higher than the growth rate of population. Yet another indicator or measure of economic development is the per capita real income. Per capita real income is another important indicator of economic development. Higher per capita income is an index of higher rate of economic growth and vice versa. Here the formula to calculate the per capita income is per capita income is equal to GNP divided by total population. And this per capita income is always considered as a better index of economic development. If economic development is to be meaningful, the increase in real national income must be higher than increase in population. So here too, though per capita income is considered as a better measure of economic development, it is not free from limitations. This is criticized on the ground that it does not consider the distributive aspect of national income. So, an increase of per capita income does not indicate about the reduction of inequalities, reduction of unemployment, improvement in standard of living, and in less developed countries. So another indicator suggested by the economists to measure economic development is the Human Poverty Index. This concept, namely the Human Poverty Index, was introduced for the first time in the Human Development Report in 1997. Here, the attempt was to bring together features of deprivation in the equality of life in composite index. This measure helps to judge the extent of poverty in a community. Human Poverty Index focuses on the problems of people below the threshold level in basic dimensions of human development. The Human Poverty Index for developing countries varies from that of developed countries. Here in this concept, we use HPI, that is Human Poverty Index 1 for the developing countries, and for the developed countries we use the word HPI 2. Now let's see what are the variables used under HPI 1 and HPI 2, that is for the developing and the developed countries. HPI 1 includes variables such as probability at birth of not surviving to age 40, that is to see the number of people who survive up to the age of 40. And the other variable is the adult literacy rate and deprivation in economic provisioning, which is measured by percentage of people without sustainable access to an improved water source and percentage of children under 5 underweight for age. So these are the variables that are used for the developing countries, which is identified by the symbol HPI1. Now HPI2, that is the variables under the developed countries. Here it includes variables like probability at birth of not surviving to age 60, because these countries are supposed to be advanced countries with better facilities. So the age limit here is taken up to age 60. Percentage of adult literacy skill, percentage of people living below the income poverty line, and long-term unemployment rate. However, prior to this, the Nobel laureate Amartya Sen had formulated this index, Human Poverty Index, way back in 1976 as an indicator to measure the extent of poverty. He included the following variables to constitute the poverty index. So the variables included under the poverty index formulated by Amartya Sen are 1. The head count ratio, 2. Poverty gap, and 3. Income distribution. Now what is this head count ratio? Head count ratio, symbolized by the letter H, is the ratio between the people below poverty income and the total population. It is determined on the basis of an equation, namely H is equal to Q divided by N, where H is the head count ratio, Q is the number of people below poverty line, and N is total population. Poverty gap is measured by the difference between the poverty income and the individual's income, and is calculated by a formula, namely G is equal to Z minus YI, where G is the poverty gap, Z is the poverty income, and YI is the individual's income. So using these two formulae, the Gini coefficient, that is income distribution, the inequality, Gini coefficient means the inequality of income distribution, can be measured. So the Amartya Sen's poverty index is constructed with an equation, namely P is equal to I plus 1 minus I into G, the whole multiplied by H. Here P is the poverty index, I is the measure of income distribution, G is the Gini coefficient, and H is the head count ratio. So this is an important measure of economic development. In the next class, let's look into the Human Development Index. Thank you.